I'm so sorry.
We are very proud of you.
Go away, Mother.
After a man named Beast gets married to a lady named Belle, he unites all the magical kingdoms and gets elected as the king of the United States of Auradon. Beast also sends all the villains in the kingdom away to a place called the Isle of Lost, which has a magical barrier to keep them there. In the Isle of Lost, not only do the villains not have a way out, but they also have no access to magic or technology. Years later, Belle and Beast get prepared to hand over the throne to their son, Ben, who will be crowned king in an upcoming coronation ceremony. Days before the coronation, Ben keeps looking at the Isle of Lost and tells his parents that he already knows what his first proclamation will be. As his parents ask what he wants, Ben says he believes the children on the Isle of Lost should be given a chance to live in Auradon. His parents are shocked by this, but Ben says that every time he looks at the Isle of Lost, he can't help but think that the children have just been abandoned there. Beast doesn't think it's a wise idea to live amongst the kids of their worst enemies.
I've already chosen them.
But Ben says they can start by accepting only a few people. Beast still thinks it's a bad idea, but Belle reminds him that she gave him a second chance when they got married, and that the children on the Isle of the Lost probably deserve the same opportunity. Following this, Ben says he has already chosen some kids, so Beast asks for their parents. Ben then mentions that those he has selected are the kids of popular villains: Cruella de Vil, Jafar, the Evil Queen, and Maleficent. Beast and Belle are shocked to hear Maleficent's name, because she's the worst villain in the land. As Beast also mentions that the villains he just called have committed unspeakable crimes, Ben says that their kids are innocent, and that they deserve a shot at living normal lives. Beast and Belle eventually agree to let Ben do what he wants, and as they walk away, he stares at the Isle of Lost while wondering if he's making the right decision.
Dad.
Elsewhere on the Isle of Lost, Maleficent's kid, Mal, Jafar's son, Jay, Cruella de Vil's son, Carlos, and the Evil Queen's daughter, Evie, all dance together around the island. After a while, Mal steals a candy from a baby and seems happy to be following her mom's evil footsteps. However, as Maleficent sees what she did, she returns the candy to the baby and tells Mal that she needs to understand the difference between being mean and being evil. Mal thinks she's doing enough, but Maleficent still scolds her for not being as cruel as she should be. Shortly after, Maleficent tells Mal and her friends that they've been selected to go to another school in Auradon. Mal and her friends refuse to leave the Isle of Lost, but Maleficent says they're thinking small when they could be on course for world domination. As the kids follow her to where she's living with the other parents, Maleficent says they have to go to Auradon to get the fairy godmother's magic wand so that the barrier outside the Isle of Lost can be destroyed. The Evil Queen looks happy for Evie and advises her to go to Auradon to find a handsome prince and many mirrors. Cruella de Vil also mentions that she can't let Carlos leave because he has things to help her with. As Jafar says the same thing about Jay, Maleficent sounds pissed and says she can't believe they've gone soft. She then encourages them to support her plan because it's the perfect way for them to get revenge against their enemies. This makes the others change their minds, and Maleficent gives Mal her book of spells, which can be used for spreading evil and ruining lives. She says that even though it doesn't work in the Isle of Lost, she's sure it will work in Auradon. Almost immediately, the limo taking the kids to Auradon arrives, and the Evil Queen gives Evie a small mirror, which she can use to find whatever she wants.
Fine, whatever.
Shortly after, the kids leave the Isle of Lost, and they look shocked to see a magical bridge appear over the sea leading to Auradon. When they get to the magical city, the fairy godmother welcomes them to Auradon, along with Ben and his girlfriend, Audrey. Mal looks amazed to be meeting the fairy godmother so soon, and she immediately starts asking about the wand. The fairy godmother says that the wand is all part of her past, and that they all need to focus on the future. After she walks away, Ben properly introduces himself to Mal and the others, and he mentions that he hopes their arrival marks a significant moment in history. Interestingly, Ben finds Mal attractive, and as Audrey notices that Maleficent's daughter seems to like the prince, she continues holding him to make it clear that she's his girlfriend. She also accuses Mal's mother of nearly killing her mom, who happens to be Aurora, the Sleeping Beauty. Mal refuses to take the blame for it, and she accuses Audrey's grandparents of making Maleficent look like a bad person for something they failed to do.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Before things escalate, Ben offers to give Mal and the others a tour of the school, called Auradon Prep. As they follow him into the school, Mal asks if there's a lot of magic in Auradon. Ben says it still exists, but that most of it has already been retired. He adds that most people in Auradon are now just ordinary mortals. Just then, Ben sees a boy named Doug and introduces him to Mal and the other kids as the person who will show them their rooms and help them with their class schedules. Doug happens to be attracted to Evie, but he tries not to show it as he tells the new kids where to go. When the girls get to their assigned room, Evie thinks it looks beautiful, but Mal says the place is gross. After a while, they head to the boys' room and see Carlos playing a game while Jay tries to steal some of the things in the room. Mal finds it surprising that they're not focusing on the mission, and she mentions that they have one shot to prove to their parents that they can be evil and very cruel.
Yeah?
Yes.
Jay, Carlos, and Evie think about what Mal said and decide to sit with her to start planning what to do next. Almost immediately, Evie tells her mother's mirror to show her where to find the magic wand. The mirror then shows her the wand in a nearby museum, and the kids quickly head over there. At the entrance, the kids see that the museum is locked and there's still a guard on duty. As they think of what to do next, Mal spots her mom's spinning wheel and uses her spell book to control the guard to make him stick his finger on the needle and fall asleep. Following this, the kids enter the museum and get to a room where they see the statues of their parents. After admiring the statues, they eventually leave and find the magic wand in another room. As Mal thinks of how they can get the wand, Jay suddenly decides to do things on his own. Even though Mal and the others warn him not to do anything unreasonable, Jay still tries to grab the wand, but the magical barrier around it knocks him back and triggers an alarm that wakes the guard.
Well, the wand's not here.
Almost immediately, the kids leave the room and sneak out of the museum without being seen. The next morning, the kids are forced to attend the fairy godmother's class at the school. During the class, the fairy godmother's daughter, Jane, enters the class to collect something from her mom. Jane seems terrified of the evil kids, but her mom still introduces her to them. After she eventually leaves the class, the fairy godmother asks the kids a question, and Jay gets it correctly. As he and Carlos then fight over who got the answer first, the fairy godmother tells them to stop. She then advises them to make better use of their energies by joining the school's sports team. Following this, Carlos and Jay head to the field to play lacrosse. During the first training, Jay performs incredibly well and even gets praised by the coach of the team.
Welcome to the team, son.
Since Carlos didn't do well at all, the coach suggests that he join the band. Carlos looks disappointed by this, but Ben tells the coach that he can work with the new kid to make him get better. The coach approves this, and as Jay walks away, a prince named Chad seems jealous of him. After a while, Chad, Audrey, and Ben see Evie and Mal standing in front of their lockers. Chad and Audrey look at them strangely, but Ben tells them to give the kids a chance. Audrey says that Ben is too soft, and she mentions that evil people will always be evil. Ben says he believes Audrey and Chad are wrong about the kids, and after they leave, he goes to meet Mal to ask about her first day. Mal says it has been great, and as Ben sees the painting on her locker, he suggests that she joins art class. Almost immediately, Mal sees Jane walking past them, so she just leaves Ben and walks away.
It's Jane, right?
She eventually enters the restroom and sees Jane there. Jane quickly tries to leave, but Mal stops her. She then says she was hoping to make Jane her friend. She adds that she's sure Jane already has many friends, but the fairy godmother's daughter says she hardly has any. She says she'd rather be pretty, and as Mal wonders what she's talking about, Jane admires her hair. Mal then says she has something that can help Jane. As she brings out her spell book, she recites a spell to make Jane's hair hair look pretty. Jane looks impressed by this, but as she says she wants her nose fixed too, Mal says she can't do that kind of magic yet. She adds that such things can only be done with a wand. Jane says that her mom doesn't use her wand anymore, and that she believes real magic is in books. Mal doesn't get this, and she mentions that it's quite weird that the fairy godmother used her wand to help Cinderella but won't do the same for her daughter. Jane also feels the same way, and Mal convinces her to try to get her mom to give her the wand. Jane agrees to do this, and she says she'll tell Mal when she gets the wand.
Think it would work? Yeah.
Elsewhere, Evie keeps staring at Chad in their science class, and she asks Doug about the prince. Doug then says that Chad is Prince Charming and Cinderella's son. Evie looks surprised to hear this, but as she keeps staring at him, the teacher notices that she's distracted, so he asks her a question. Evie doesn't know the answer to the question, but before she gets humiliated in the class, she uses her mom's mirror to get the answer. As she writes it on the board, the teacher looks impressed and says he shouldn't have underrated her. Chad also admires Evie and gives her a note, telling her where they can meet after class. Elsewhere, Ben starts training Carlos to be faster at running. As he gets chased by a dog, Carlos freaks out because his mom always told him scary things about dogs. Ben then tells Carlos not to be scared because dogs are actually nice creatures.
Carlos, you've never actually met a dog, have you?
Following this, Ben properly introduces Carlos to the dog, whose name is Dude. Shortly after, Chad and Evie meet after their class, and he praises her for answering the teacher's questions very well. Evie says she's really not that smart, and that she used her mom's mirror to get the answer. Chad looks amazed by this, and he even collects the mirror to try to use it, but Evie says it won't work for him. As they continue talking, Evie asks about the fairy godmother's wand, but Chad doesn't seem interested in this. He eventually mentions that if Evie can help him finish up all his homework, he'll find some time for them to talk. Evie gladly agrees to do it for him, and as he leaves, Doug shows up next to her. Doug then says he heard everything they talked about, and that he's also fascinated by the fairy godmother's wand. He adds that the wand is another reason he's looking forward to the coronation. Evie then asks if the wand will be used at the coronation, and he says it will. Evie looks pleased about this, and before Doug gets the chance to ask her out, she heads to her room.
I'm not that smart.
After a while, Jane complains to Mal that her mom refused to give her the wand. As she talks about how hard it will be for her to get a boyfriend if she's not pretty, a girl named Lonnie enters the room and introduces herself as the daughter of Mulan. She also mentions that she really liked what Mal did with Jane's hair and that she wants a similar makeover. Mal doesn't seem interested in using the spellbook for a hair makeover, but as Lonnie offers to pay for it, Evie convinces her friend to change her mind. Following this, Mal helps Lonnie change her hair, and she looks happy about this. Elsewhere, the school's lacrosse coach offers Jay a spot on the team. He also gives Jay a jersey, and he wears it to the dorm to show his friends. Shortly after, he asks Mal if she has found a way to get Jane to collect the wand from her mom. Mal says she hasn't, and as she sounds pissed, Jay tells her that they can still achieve their goal if they work together.
Can I be the fist?
Mal says they have to, and Evie then mentions that she recently found out that the fairy godmother will bring the wand to the coronation to bless Ben. Mal cannot believe she's just saying something about it, but before she complains, someone knocks on their door. As Mal opens it, she sees Ben, who says he just wanted to check up on them to see if they need anything. Mal says they're fine, but she asks if it's true that the wand will be used at his coronation. Ben says it's the truth, and Mal asks if she and the others can sit in the front row to get a chance to properly admire the wand. Ben says that only he, his parents, and his girlfriend will be allowed to get that close to the wand. Mal instantly gets an idea, and she quickly locks the door before Ben can say anything else. She then tells Evie and the others that it's time for Ben to have a new girlfriend. After finding a recipe for a love potion,
Mom's gonna kill me.
Mal and her friends start mixing the ingredients to bake a cookie laced with it. Unfortunately, the only thing missing from the ingredients is a tear, and as they wonder how they'll get it, Lonnie enters the kitchen to thank Mal for the makeover. As she sees what they're baking, she tastes it and asks what it is. Mal and the others are shocked by this, but they notice that the potion didn't work on Lonnie because it's still without a tear. Lonnie then mentions that they'll make an even better cookie if they had some chips. Mal and the others look confused, confused, but Lonnie asks if their parents never made such a nice cookie for them. The kids don't respond to her, and Lonnie says she thought villains would at least love their children. As they remain silent again, Lonnie realizes that their parents probably don't love them. This makes her shed a tear, and Mal quickly cleans it and adds it to the cookie. Following this, Lonnie leaves, and the kids finish up with baking the cookie. The next day, as they get to school, Mal gets hailed by some girls she recently gave a makeover. Almost immediately, Audrey complains to Ben about what Mal has been doing to the girls at the school.
Do you think they actually paid for those?
Ben doesn't think there's a problem with that, but Audrey says she's worried that all the girls might look prettier than her very soon. Ben still doesn't think Mal is doing anything bad, but Audrey says she'll talk to him later. After she walks away, Mal goes to give Ben the cookie she made. He initially refuses to take it because he doesn't like eating before a big game, but as Mal asks if he's scared that she'll poison him, he eats it to clear her doubts. Almost immediately, Ben starts feeling strange and says that he would love to sing Mal's name to everyone. Mal covers his mouth before he does this, and he eventually heads to the field for his big game. During the game, the team plays quite well, and Jay teams up with Carlos to pass the ball to Ben to score the winner. Everyone rejoices as Auradon Prep wins the game, and after a while, Ben sings Mal's name and says that he loves her.
I feel really sorry for Audrey.
As he eventually goes to meet her to tell her again, Audrey shows up behind him and breaks up with him. She also mentions that Chad will be her new boyfriend, but Ben doesn't seem to care. As he asks Mal to be his date to the coronation, she agrees, and Audrey walks away with Chad. After a while, Mal notices that Evie is sad because Audrey is now with Chad. Mal then tells Evie that she's very talented and she doesn't need a prince to make her feel better about herself. Evie looks happy to hear this, and she thanks Mal. Just then, they watch Jay being celebrated as the game's most valuable player. The next day, in science class, Evie notices that her mirror is missing. As she looks for it, the teacher tells her that he has seized it because Chad already told him what she can do with the mirror, especially now that they have a test. He says he'll recommend that she gets expelled, but Doug defends her and makes the teacher reconsider his decision. The teacher then says he'll return her mirror and change his mind about her expulsion if she passes the test.
You were pretty great in there.
After the class, Evie shows Doug that she passed, and she thanks him for defending her inside. She also mentions that she has now realized that she's more than just a pretty face. Almost immediately, Mal comes over to tell Evie that Ben has just asked her out on a date. Evie then takes Mal to their room to do her makeup and get her ready for the date. Much later, Ben arrives at their dorm and takes Mal to a special place for their date. As they eat together, they talk about each other and realize that they have some things in common. After a while, Ben tells Mal to swim with him in the enchanted lake, but she says she's not interested. As he swims alone, Mal realizes that she has fallen for Ben, and she starts wondering if they could still be together when the effect of the love potion wears off. Just then, Mal notices that Ben is no longer in the lake. As she wonders if he has drowned, she enters the lake and starts looking for him. Interestingly, it turns out that she can't swim, and as she nearly drowns, Ben shows up and saves her.
You scared me!
Mal sounds pissed that he scared her, but Ben seems quite surprised that she tried to save him even though she can't swim. Shortly after, Ben asks if she loves him as much as he loves her, but Mal says she doesn't know what love is. Ben looks surprised to hear this, but he says he can teach her what it means. The next day, the fairy godmother tells Mal and her friends that they'll get the chance to speak to their parents through video call as part of the school's Family Day celebration. As the video call gets connected, the kids see their parents, and Maleficent asks Mal when they'll see each other again. Mal tells her about the coronation and says it will be after then, but Maleficent asks if it can't be sooner. She also nearly talks about the magic wand, but she corrects herself before the fairy godmother realizes what she's talking about. After the call ends, the kids thank the fairy godmother for giving them a chance to speak to their parents.
I'm so sorry.
As they leave the classroom, Evie asks Mal what she thinks would happen if they fail to get the wand. Mal then says they'll get into trouble because their parents will be very pissed at them. Shortly after, the kids work on a plan to steal the wand at the coronation. As Mal also prepares to break the spell she put on Ben, Evie sees her and asks what she's doing. Mal then mentions that she doesn't think it's fair to allow Ben to still be in love with her after the villains invade Auradon and start sending everyone away from their castles. Later that night, the kids think about some of the things they have achieved in Auradon, and they start wondering if helping their parents is a good thing. The next day, Mal and her friends attend the school's family day ceremony. Ben also introduces Mal to his parents as his new girlfriend, and even though they look shocked, they don't complain. Shortly after, Audrey's grandmother, Queen Leah, sees Mal and asks if they've met before. Mal says she doesn't think so, but as Audrey goes to meet Leah, she tells her grandmother to stay away from Maleficent's daughter.
Of course.
Game on.
It then turns out that a while ago, Maleficent put a spell on Leah to make her sleep for many years, and this made her miss out on raising her kids. Leah looks shocked when she realizes who Mal is, but Ben comes over to defend her. He adds that his first proclamation is to give the children of the villains a chance to live in Auradon. Leah believes it's a bad decision, and she continues talking about how the villains are very dangerous. Mal tries to get close to her to explain that she's different, but Chad stops her. Ben tells Chad not to be mean, but he says that Mal and her friends are dangerous. As he then calls Evie a cheat and gold digger, she calls him a jerk. This gets him pissed, but before he fights her, she sprays a potion on him to knock him out. Just then, Evie leaves with the others, and even though Ben tries to stop them, they don't listen to him. Ben looks disappointed, and Beast says he always feared that something like that would happen.
Mom?
Ben says it wasn't the fault of the villain kids, but Beast says it's his son's fault. Ben looks shocked as he hears this, and Beast walks away with Belle. Shortly after, Ben goes to meet Mal and her friends to tell them not to be worried about what happened earlier. He adds that things will be very different after his coronation the next day. As he leaves, Doug tries to talk to Evie, but Chad orders him not to do that. Jane also walks past their table and makes fun of Mal for thinking she could really become Ben's girlfriend. Mal gets pissed by this, and she turns Jane's hair back to normal. Jane looks shocked, and as Mal threatens to reverse the makeover she did for the other girls at the school, they quickly run away. Mal then tells her friends that she really can't wait to get the wand the next day, so that everyone in Auradon can get what they deserve. The next day, Maleficent and the other parents watch the coronation live from Isle of Lost. As the event starts, Mal joins Ben's carriage and gives him a cookie, which she says he can eat after the ceremony. Ben eats it immediately, and Mal is shocked by this. As she then asks if he still has feelings for her, Ben reveals that he knew about the love cookie she gave him earlier. He adds that the spell washed away in the enchanted lake, and that he understands why Mal did something like that. As Mal wonders if he knows her true intentions, Ben says he believes she used the spell to make him like her instead of Audrey because she had a crush on him. Mal looks relieved as he says this, and she asks if he still likes her. Ben says he does, and that he hasn't been faking his love for her. Shortly after, they proceed into the hall for his coronation. The fairy godmother then places the crown on Ben's head and brings out her wand. After the fairy godmother uses it to crown Ben as the new king, Mal and her friends keep looking at each other and wondering if they should steal the wand. Maleficent also looks restless because she expected the kids to have already snatched the wand.
We are very proud of you.
Suddenly, someone snatches it, but it turns out to be Jane, who says she wants to use the wand to make herself pretty since her mom won't do it for her. As she struggles to control the wand, she accidentally breaks a part of the barrier protecting Auradon. Maleficent sees this and immediately leaves the Isle of Lost to head to Auradon. Just then, Mal snatches the wand from Jane, but she refuses to give it to Ben. Everyone is shocked by this, and Ben asks Mal if she really wants to be evil. Mal says she has no choice because powers. Her mom and the other villains want the wand. Ben tells her not to be like her mom because he believes she's a good person. Mal asks how he knows, and he says it's because he's listening to his heart. Mal then says she also has to listen to her heart and that she believes she and her friends deserve to be happy in Auradon. As they agree not to follow in their parents' evil footsteps,
Don't blow it, kiddo.
Maleficent enters the hall. Before she can get the wand, Mal gives it to the fairy godmother. As the fairy godmother is about to use it, Maleficent freezes everyone in the hall except the kids. She then snatches the wand from the fairy godmother and tells Mal that love is making her weak and ridiculous. Mal says that her mom doesn't know what she wants, but Maleficent says she does. Mal then uses her powers to snatch the wand from her mom. Maleficent is shocked by this, and Mal's friends tell Mal not to release the wand again. Maleficent gets pissed and turns into a dragon, but Mal still stands up to her. As she uses her powers again, Mal turns Maleficent into a small lizard. She looks shocked by this, but the fairy godmother releases herself and mentions that Maleficent shrank to the size of the love in her heart. Following this, the fairy godmother unfreezes everyone, and Ben hugs Mal and looks happy that she's not evil. Shortly after, as the fairy godmother scolds Jane for what she did, Mal defends her and says that she was the one who filled Jane's head with negative thoughts.
I guess I did get pretty lucky in the mother department.
She also tells Jane that she's beautiful inside and out. As Jane and her mom walk away, Mal sees Audrey, and the girls now seem to be cool with each other. Following this, Mal and her friends join Ben and the other students to sing and dance at the Coronation party. Despite being raised to embrace evil, Mal and her friends saw things differently upon arriving in Auradon. As they all found something or someone they loved, they realized that goodness wasn't so bad after all. They also refused to help their parents, and Mal summoned the courage to confront her mom and fight for what she and her friends really wanted. This story reminds us that who we become is not defined by where we come from, but by the choices we make.